Before today, I've never told a soul what happened that night. Not my husband, not my children. The nurses think I'm rambling. Dying minds wander after all. But I remember everything. The rusted gurneys, the smell of wet concrete, and the thing they kept in room 306. They said I was lucky to leave Eldra alive. But the truth is, I never really left. And if you're hearing this, it means it's found another way out. They'd only just reopened Eldra when I was assigned there. 1975, early spring. The state was shuffling patients around after a fire shut down the newer facility, and Eldra, despite sitting empty for years, was the only place with enough beds. They didn't advertise for help. You got assigned, no questions. I was 23, freshly licensed, thought I was ready for anything. It looked like a prison more than a hospital, the kind of place where the walls held memories, not just patients. Faded brick stained black with water damage, windows so small they barely deserved a name, and silence, not the restful kind, but held breath, silence, like the building itself was waiting to speak. The charge nurse met me at the gate, tall woman, stiff posture, eyes like broken glass. She didn't tell me her name, just handed me a clipboard and muttered, "Ward C, keep your rounds. If you hear knocking, ignore it." I thought she was joking. I laughed. She didn't. The halls smelled like old antiseptic and something else underneath, wet copper and rotted paper. Most of the fluorescent lights had long since given up. Shadows clung to the corners like mold. My station was at the end of the west corridor. There were 7 patient rooms on that wing, but only 6 were listed on the chart. The door at the far end had no nameplate, just a brass number, 306. The first time I passed it, I felt a drop in temperature, actual, physical cold, like I'd opened a walk-in freezer. Something about the door bothered me more than I cared to admit. It looked newer, too clean. The handle was polished, like it had been touched more than anything else in the hospital. The patient call bell went off just after 8 p.m. I checked the board, room 202. But when I got there, the patient was asleep, unmoved, IV drip steady. No sign of distress. Then I noticed something strange. The light above room 306 was blinking, just faintly, like a signal trying to break through a bad connection. I called it in. The radio buzzed back. "That room's sealed. It's empty. Don't go near it." No explanation, no concern, just the kind of tone you use on a child standing too close to the edge of the pool. A few hours passed. I kept hearing the click of that light, like a soft relay snapping on and off. Nothing else, until the knock, not loud, not frantic. Just one single knock, polite. I froze. Every hair on my arm stood straight up. I told myself it was old pipes, maybe settling wood, but I didn't move closer, because it wasn't the sound that scared me. It was what came next. A voice, barely louder than a breath. It whispered, "Are you the new one?" I didn't tell anyone about the voice. Not at first. You don't want to be the new nurse who starts talking about ghosts on her first night. But I didn't go near that room again, not for the rest of my shift, except it wouldn't return the favor. Every time I passed by, the hallway light above the door would buzz, low and sickly, and once I swear it flickered in rhythm with my heartbeat. I kept walking, eyes forward, just like I was taught. Around midnight, I noticed something strange on the assignment board. Room 306 had changed, still unassigned officially, but now there was a patient status marker, observational. No initials, no chart, just that one word. I asked the night orderly if there was a patient down there. He didn't look up from his crossword. Room 306 doesn't get visitors, he said. That's not what I asked. He put his pen down slowly, finally meeting my eyes. You'll finish your shift faster if you leave that door alone. Then he stood and walked away, like he'd said more than he was supposed to. The rest of the wing had gone oddly quiet. Even the patients who'd been moaning and crying earlier in the evening were now asleep, unnaturally still, like someone had flipped a switch. I could hear my own footsteps echo, even when I stopped walking. That's when I heard it again, the call bell. Not from a patient room, not from the station, from room 306. The light above it blinked once, then again, then stayed on. I pressed my back to the opposite wall and listened. Nothing. No voice this time. No knock. I stepped closer, just a few feet, and I saw it, a handprint pressed on the glass inside of the door, but not on the inside, on my side, as if someone had pressed their hand into the glass from the hallway, and the pressure had stayed. It was red, fresh, fingers long, too long, and twisted like they'd been broken in several places, but no blood on the floor, no trail. The intercom crackled to life behind me. Room 306, nurse required. The voice wasn't one I recognized, and the intercom shouldn't have been working. The night orderly had warned me earlier that it hadn't functioned in years. It was supposed to be disconnected. I picked up the handset to respond, but the line was dead, just static, and under the static, a whisper, "She left me in here." I backed away from the door. As I turned, I caught a glimpse of something in the reflective window glass. For half a second, I thought I saw myself in a different uniform, older, pale, sunken eyes, not blinking. The reflection lifted a hand and waved. I did not. When I looked again, it was gone. I spent the rest of the night tucked behind the nurse's desk with every light on and a pair of trauma shears in my hand. I didn't move. I didn't breathe unless I had to. The call bell didn't go off again. But I swear to you, every time I blinked too long, the door to room 306 was just a little more open than the last time I looked. By sunrise, it was wide open, and there was nothing inside, nothing at all, except the patient chart. My name was on it. I don't know why I walked back toward room 306. Maybe it was the silence, thick and unnatural. Maybe it was the nagging feeling that if I left without seeing it again, I'd never be able to forget it. Not properly, the way a scab festers when you don't rip it off. It wasn't flickering anymore. The light above the door was solid, cold, unblinking, and the door just barely open now, had something sticking out from the crack. A file, my file. Same name, same photo. But the ink was old, faded. Date of admission, April 17th, 1975. Tonight, I opened the door. Inside was a hospital room, but not like the others. The space felt wrong, too deep, like the walls were breathing in and out, stretching when I wasn't looking. The bed was centered against the far wall, neatly made. A tray of untouched food sat next to it, moldy, rotting, but still warm. And sitting on the edge of the mattress was me. Not a reflection, not a trick. I was older, hollow, skin sunken like I hadn't eaten in years. My eyes were open, but unfocused. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. She just sat there, staring at the floor. When I stepped forward, her head tilted, and she smiled. I turned to leave. The door was gone. Nothing but solid wall behind me. The lights went out. Total darkness, except for the red glow of the call light, still lit above the bed. I stumbled backward, hit something metal, a mirror, but it didn't show me the room. It showed the nurse's station, empty. Then suddenly a nurse walked into frame, back facing me, sat down at the desk, picked up a pen. It was me, not older, not hollow, just me. And I watched myself fill out a discharge form. Name, Margaret Lane. Status, released. Notes, compliant, successful replacement achieved. The next moment, I was outside, lying in the grass, cold, wet, morning sun on my face. A security guard stood over me, confused, asking if I'd wandered from one of the buildings. Eldra was closed, had been for years. He told me that. There were no patients, no night staff, no functioning power. I never spoke about that night, until now. I left that building and tried to stitch my life back together. And for the most part, I did. Family, children, a normal job. But some nights, when the wind is right, I hear the call bell again, and I know she's still there, waiting for her next shift. Don't answer if it knocks. That's how it begins. If you're still breathing, go ahead and like the video. Subscribe if you dare. There are plenty more nightmares waiting for you. And whatever you do, don't forget to ring the bell. It's the only way you'll hear the warnings in time.